All right, let's get this thing going. I got to make sure my camera and mic is all set up, my friends. Give me just a second. We'll make sure this thing is running smooth. And then we have got some big news to talk about today. We've got NFP on the radar, which is going to be a big market mover. So let's go ahead and prepare for that. Hey everybody, welcome. Give you guys just a few minutes to join in here while I change the thumbnail. For some reason, my streaming software doesn't let me change the thumbnail in the software. Maybe it can, I just don't know how to do it. But regardless, bear with me as we get started here. There, the thumbnail is changed. You know what? I'm gonna also link it on YouTube. On Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at TraderNickFX. I share some pretty pictures of myself over there sometimes. If you guys want to see more of me, why wouldn't you, right? Good morning. Hello, everybody. Good number of people already in the chat with me, so welcome. I'm just doing a little bit of social media work here while I chat. Just going to share this out. NFP stream live right now. Swipe up. You guys already know I got to do the Instagram swipe up marketing, whatever you want to call it. But let's get some more people in here from Instagram. Bam, the link is out and we are off and running. Welcome everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Sorry I missed yesterday. Oh, look at this camera. This camera does not want to do its thing today. There we go. Oh, why am I so short? What's new? There we go. Hey guys, welcome back. So yesterday I missed the stream. Sorry about that. Had some things come up and then I just kind of got behind. And then by the time I realized that the stream was late, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to come back to this tomorrow. Maybe take a break before the big stream today. Anyways, okay, I'm going to fix this camera again. We are going to make this camera work for us, whether it likes to or not. There we go. See, when it works, it's so crystal clear. I just got to stay right here and don't move because otherwise it's going to blur up again. And as soon as I start moving my hands, it's going to start blurring up too. So chill out, Nick. Good morning, everybody. Hey, guys. Tons of people in the chat today already. We've got some exciting things to talk about. Today is NFP Day, which is a once-a-month event where the U.S. basically reports its unemployment. But it's a special day because today it also happens to line up with a very important key piece of information. Where's my pen? I'm not prepared today. Let's do this. Let's get this pen up. It also happens to tie right in with the CAD unemployment numbers. Today, all eyes are on the US dollar and the Canadian dollar as we have some major news coming in for both. Unemployment, why does it matter? Well, growing employment, like if there's more jobs being created, we can all probably imagine that that is good for an economy, right? But if there is a shrinking number of jobs and the job market is bad, it can be bad for a currency. Why? Well, one of the biggest causes of inflation is wages. When people are paying, employees and moving that money and raising the bid for working people, right? If you're paying salaries and you're giving people raises, and that's a healthy level of growth there, that causes inflation. And inflation is good for a currency to a healthy degree. Like there's too much inflation, yes, but there's also a healthy level of bidding up prices, bidding up jobs, and making things grow in that way to a point where the Fed or a central bank might say, hey, let's hike rates and slow down this growth. We don't want a market, what do they call it? Overheating market, right? So it's a little bit complex, but the thing that you do need to know, everyone, whether you focus on the news or not, is to understand that this could cause some volatility on these US pairs as well as the Canadian pairs. Now, the last few times, NFP has not been a major market mover. However, with the US dollar being beaten down recently, let's look at this. I'm going to pull up the US dollar really quick. We'll go DXY. So with the US dollar getting beaten down pretty substantially recently, this is going to be a really, really interesting report to watch for the US dollar, okay? Because when you get this sort of scenario where things were good for the dollar, things were looking nice. We're looking at a 4-hour chart, by the way. And then you sort of had just this tapering off where things just went south for a while. Well, the reason that is a little bit concerning for the dollar bulls is because some of the numbers that have come out during this time have not been too bad. We've had good retail sales, optimism towards continued growth in the U.S. Has been pretty good. And so it's sort of this big question mark coming into this big release. Are we going to see job reports like last month, which were very, very good? In fact, much better than expected. We had a lot of jobs created in the United States last month, or according to last month's data, right? And so the question is, going into this month, is it going to be a similar story, or have things slowed down a bit? Well, we can see, again, the US dollar has had a good year so far in 2021. Here's January 1st, right around here. So since then, we had a great run up on the US dollar. And then since then, what is this, back around March 31st, April was just a bad month for the US dollar. In fact, underperforming most of the other currencies or major currencies. So when we look at this here, what I do want to point out is that we've shifted a bit. So we were in just absolute sell mode on the US dollar. We have sort of shifted into a sideways market environment. You can see we formed a low here late April, right? Is that late April? Yep, late April, April 28th, we formed a low on the US dollar, and since then have really been in more of a sideways direction. So we've been on this downward market, strong sell pressure, and then we sort of found a bottom that seems to want to hold for the time being. Today's news is going to be impactful because it's going to be a question of whether or not this environment is set to change directions, stay sideways, or break lower. And if NFP comes out and it's a very good thing for the dollar, I would expect that the US dollar could have a pretty good rally. So let's mark that up. We'll talk about the DXY for a moment, and then we're going to look at all the different US dollar currency pairs. And we're going to look at some CAD ones, because don't forget, we also have CAD unemployment coming out today, which is a very, very important piece of information, especially with all the bullishness on CAD pairs right now. Is that CAD currency going to continue to run higher, or is it going to stutter or maybe even pull back a little bit on the news? That is what we're going to try and answer today and look at different scenarios for everything going on. So I see some of you guys have some questions. I'm going to try and get to questions a little bit. We have a lot of things to do before the news. The news comes out in 15 minutes here. So I'm going to try and run through some charts. We're going to answer some questions and everything shortly after. But again, stick around with me until the news. We're going to watch the spike together here and talk about everything going on in real time. So stay with me until NFP. That's in about 15 minutes, and we will go from there. So let's look at some, so real quick, the DXY. Like I said, sort of forming this range-bound market. Watch for NFP to see if it can touch one of the upper or lower limits here. Depending on the news, if things come out very bullish, then by all means, we could be headed back to the top of this range, and vice versa. Things come down bearish, we could break through the daily low here and even form a move down into the lows here of the dollar index since late April. So the low of this, I think, of at least the last several months. Okay. Ernest says, any eyes on gold, Nick? Stay tuned. We're going to get to a bunch of different charts. We're going to kind of run through them right now. We have news coming out in 14 minutes on NFP. So we're going to try and jump through some different hoops and figure things out. I want to talk about dollar CAD, because dollar CAD is going to be impacted by both news today. And it is an incredibly interesting currency pair right now, with everything selling off so hard on this currency pair. I ranted about on Wednesday's stream, talking about how, this thing is in a strong downtrend, and until further notice, this is all sort of seller's interest to me. However, the news could offer some opportunities for bulls to get some news back or some push back here. So let's update this. I'm going to actually start fresh. We're going to look at dollar CAD here, and we're going to talk about some major levels to consider going into the news here. Okay, so if price gets really bullish on dollar CAD, which we're going to talk about what scenario that would have to happen in. maybe we could head back to retest some of these 4-hour chart levels. The biggest one that I see, or the most relevant one, seems to be a move back to this 1.235, let's say. So when price was in this strong downtrend, like I said, it formed this low and buyers really stepped in. They said, okay, that's going to be the low for now. We're not going any lower from that point. Buyers gave it a good try, and then it slowly disintegrated until we got that big Bank of Canada news release saying that they wanted to slow the money printers down. What does that cause for a currency's value to do? If you print less of a currency, it causes the value of the currency to shoot up. And that's exactly what we saw with the Canadian dollar. Since then, we've seen a run to the downside here on the CAD currencies, and especially against that weak US dollar. So going into the news today, things are at a pivotal spot. Is this just going to really steamroll the US dollar further and cause us to go to multi-year lows? Or is it going to head back up to retest supply? In both cases, my bias here is going to be bearish on the dollar CAD. I am more in favor of the Canadian dollar. And I think that we have to talk about the scenario. So let's say that we get, there's a couple scenarios we have to break down. Because there's news for both of these currencies today, it could be sort of an interesting scenario. So if we get bearish news for the US dollar and bullish news for the CAD, then by all means, we could probably see this thing just, excuse me, run lower, right? If this thing really looks bearish on the US news and bullish on the CAD news, I don't expect that to be the case. Usually they probably will move together. If that were to happen, though, you would see this thing probably just roll over hard. On the flip side, if you have better than expected for US and worse than expected for Canada, very well could see a move back up. And then let's look at the other two scenarios, which is bullish for both or bearish for both. In both of these cases, excuse me, guys. In both of these cases, you probably have some mixed sentiment. You probably have some back and forth and not a whole lot of movement. Now, it really does depend on what the news comes out and brings us, but I think that it is very possible that we could get a mixed on both. However, if we do see one of these scenarios, then keep an eye on this pair. This pair is probably going to move hard. So if it does have something where the two news releases are different for the two currencies. So looking at dollar CAD, the level that I have most interest in is if we got some bullishness on dollar CAD, a move or a float back up to 1.235 to me looks like a good selling opportunity to go with that trend. As always, you guys already know, I'm not here to give you signals. If you watch my stream, then you know this is not financial advice. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. Please be careful. Trading involves a high level of risk, and you should not just go gambling or be stupid with your money. You should definitely do your due diligence before you do anything with your money. Okay, so with that said, let's move on to another currency because we have about just a little under 10 minutes here. Let's look at Euro USD. We'll get to gold. Don't you guys worry. I want to talk about Euro dollar right now and where we are currently at with this currency pair. So we topped out at right around this level here, which was 1.215, let's just say, right around that zone, right? We formed the top, we sold off hard, and now we've been having a little bit of a rebound. Now, looking at the euro dollar is going to be an interesting one to watch for this day because the euro has been sort of dominating the dollar the last few weeks. However, the dollar seems to have a little bit of a pushback here. And now we're at that pivotal zone of, is the dollar going to weaken? If so, if we have weak dollar news today, friends, I think we probably see the euro make a stab at pushing past that previous high. If we see bullish news for the US dollar, then it very well could be that this is a previous or a lower high that could roll euro dollar over and continue us lower. You've got some relative support here that I've got marked from the last time we did streams, and you've got some interesting levels here. We can actually look at this on the lower time frame as well. We'll have to watch to see if the euro dollar can hold this level. Again, coming down to the news, you can see we did get a spike to the upside, but fading that fast here right before the news. Just probably some profit taking by people who were long on the euro dollar there. I know this doesn't look like much, but if you zoom in, it is a pretty good move there. What is that? Let's say, that's 30 pips. That's a pretty good little move there for the people who were trading that. But anyways, going into this news, it's going to be a question of this zone here. Is price going to rally off of this levels? If so, I think that if it's good enough news, if the dollar if it's bad enough news for the US dollar that causes some serious concerns with the US dollar, if you see some fresh lows being formed, the euro very well could be headed right up to 1.215. If you're long, I would say that's an interesting target to consider. If you are short, keep an eye on that, because if that happens, it very well could just be a momentum shift for the euro and just see this thing continue to run higher, right? So for those of you guys watching the euro USD, keep an eye on that. What do you guys think on euro USD? Comment, are you bullish or bearish on this pair? I'd be curious to see what you guys have to say. Bullish or bearish, chat it or comment it, whatever you want to do. Just let me know what you guys think. And hey, remember, if you're enjoying the stream, make sure to subscribe and come back for more content in the future. Thank you guys for your support. Make sure to like it also. Let's see if we can run the like button up to like 250, 300 people. That would be amazing to see. So yeah, just let me know. I'm curious what you guys have to say on the euro USD. We've got Tushar saying bullish. We've got Asharvad saying bearish. And then you guys, we've got 6 minutes here until the news. So let's go ahead and do gold, and then we're gonna try and just keep going. So thank you guys for your feedback there. Let's look at gold. So gold is really, really running, you guys. 1820 today is gold, and Frank is still holding his dang gold trade. For you guys inside of the VIP group, if you saw Frank's trade, he got in at 1718, which is right here. Frank got in right around. Did he get on? Somewhere right around here. He literally bought a little bit after this rally. He saw something that made him want to get long, and he had been looking for a long setup on gold. He's long since then. So that dude is having a good month on gold. So shout out to Frank in the chat. Good stuff there. Frank is one of our analysts at A1 Trading. He shares his trades inside of the group for members. So anyways, with that said, on the gold market here, running up, and this is going to be a big impactful thing for gold. We've got news in just over 5 minutes coming in that could cause the US dollar to spike one way or the other. So we're going to keep an eye on gold for sure, because it could very well move it around. So 1810 got smashed. That target that we talked about here on the stream many times, it got nailed there at 1810. And I also said that if price does start to break through that a next level would be probably 1850. And so where we're at currently, if things look bearish for the dollar today, I would expect that 1850 to get a lot closer than it seems right now, right? So 1850 is all the way up here. It's at a past level of strong resistance. And so when we're at this point right here, this is a big run up. So this is going to be impactful, because if you get something for the dollar that is bearish for USD, you very well could see gold make its move that we've been talking about up to that 1850 level. On the flip side, of course, if things flip around and the US dollar gets bearish, it could be the catalyst, or sorry, bullish. It could be the catalyst to see some pullback, maybe to this level first, right around 1800, let's say. And if it's very, very bullish, if we get a sentiment shift on the US dollar, then you already know it has the potential to even make its pullback further. Now, the COT reports on gold are a little bit mixed right now. A little bit of sell pressure on the gold market recently from big money, from institutional traders. So keep that in mind. You guys can check that anytime you want by going to the website, A1 Trading, A1 Trading, and head over to COT reports right here, and then just scroll down to gold on the left-hand side. We'll go to gold. And you can see, we can just real quick see this, that going into this, the non-commercials have been pretty bearish on gold, even though the price has been rising. So keep that in mind. Be concerned with that. If you're super bullish on gold, just be careful. When you have the big players making moves against you, that can be dangerous. So I'm going to be watching the news here in just under 4 minutes. We got the news coming out. Thanks to everyone who is in the stream with me right now. Hey, do me a favor. If you want more of this stuff in the future and you want me to cover more live events like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell also so that you can tune in and hang out with me again in the future. Like I said earlier, basically we do these for major market events like NFP, and we just go through the market each week and then talk about different trade setups. So this has the impact, the potential impact to move the US dollar significantly. We've had the US dollar selling off for the last month or so. And so this is going to be an interesting pivotal moment to see if it really is going to keep going lower for that US dollar, or if bulls are going to give it a stab here to see if things can go higher. Shout out to everybody in the chat with me here live. Got 650 people in the chat with me right now. Can we get a quick like train, you guys? If you're enjoying the stream before the news comes out, we are going to pull it up and we're going to take a look at things, and we're going to talk about trade setups afterwards. So stay tuned for that. Definitely hit that like button if you're enjoying this content. It is for free and I enjoy doing it and definitely appreciate all of the support from you guys. But let's see if we can get a like train going. With that many people in the chat, we could probably make that like button explode. Trying to run it up to, where are we even at? We're currently at 170 likes. Can we throw that up to 300? That would be amazing if we could get 300 likes in the stream. Also, like I said, you already know, if you could hit that subscribe button, that'd be awesome. Cool. So with that said, we've got just 2 minutes here before the news, you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the screen here for you so that we can, maybe we can do, I was playing around with this feature. Maybe we can try and last second set this up. So this gives us a chance to look at multiple screens at the same time here. Sorry, my internet seems to be wigging out just a bit. Maybe it's the news trying to shut me down. So can we look at, so there's the Euro, there's the Aussie. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Can we streamline all of the 15-minute chart? Awesome. 244 likes, guys. Yeah, run that like button up if you don't mind. If you're enjoying the content, thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, so when we're looking at this, we've got the 15-minute chart pulled up. Let's get this a little bit more into focus. We've got, what is this? Gold over here. We've got the Euro over here. We can watch them all at the same time, you guys. It's kind of cool. And we've got just 1 minute. So let's see if I can race against the clock to get this set up again. And we will watch the news to see if there's any spike, and we'll try and come up with some trade ideas shortly after. Like I said, smash that like button. We're almost at our 300 goal. That would be amazing if you guys could help me run that up just to support the content that you guys see here for free. Okay, so we got Aussie dollar, pound dollar, gold, and the Euro dollar. Maybe we'll throw up dollar yen here instead of Aussie dollar. So that my friends out there who want to see dollar yen can see the spike. So yeah, going to be interesting here. We got about 15 seconds here until the news, you guys. So thank you very much for tuning in today. Let's see what the news brings us, if anything at all. See if there's any spikes there on the Euro, all of these. So here we go. We got about 3 seconds until the news, and then we're going to decipher what's going on with it. All right, and there we've got some interesting spikes going on here. The Euro moving higher, the gold market moving higher, the Euro market looking like it's breaking higher, and then you've got the dollar yen selling off. Look at that news, you guys. Got a spike here. The pound dollar moving higher, gold moving higher, the Euro moving higher, and of course that dollar yen moving lower with that US dollar looking like it's had some negative impact. Nothing new here for the dollar, it seems, for now. Got a lot of sell pressure going on this euro dollar, on the dollar itself. So let's actually see, can we look at the news really quick, see if there was any update here on Forex Factory to see what the numbers were actually. So we had a forecast for, actually we should have pulled up CAD. We got to check out CAD too. What am I doing? Just got to move faster. All right, let's see if we can. We're going to swap out pound dollar for USD Cad. This one, I bet, is just flying off. There it is. Yeah. What about the numbers? What are the numbers? Let's see what you guys are all saying in the chat. Not as expected. It's bad. Interesting. Yeah. What the heck is going on with my Forex Factory? I'm struggling over here to keep up. Let's see what the numbers were. Maybe it just has to think about it. I'm guessing, obviously, we had something that was not as good as expected. But look at that run, you guys. Wow, gold really, really moving higher today. And that is what it took to bust gold right through the tops there. Really impressive move. Congrats to anybody who was long on gold. That is a very, very nice mover there. So nicely done if you caught that move there. So that's a pretty impressive spike there on these different currencies. Let's look at, so Euro USD up 50 pips. That's a pretty impressive move, you guys. Dollar yen down significantly, looking at 40 pips or so. Dollar CAD down 30 pips. Did we get the news? My goodness, Forex Factory, what are you doing today? But don't go anywhere. You don't go anywhere, guys. We have more to talk about, especially with these spikes. We got to talk about trade setups and things to look at going into next week. That is definitely a big moving news. Okay, I don't get it. I think I'm going to give up. Can somebody give me the numbers? CAD lost 200K plus jobs. Interesting. Is that actually true? Could somebody let me know the numbers? Because I'm struggling. Is it on? I'm trying to figure it out for you guys. NFP 266K. Lost. Is that right, Sean? Number still not showing. Yeah, I mean, it looks, obviously it's very bearish for the US dollar. Look at that, you guys. Euro USD running right up to the highs. We need to take a look at some of these. Definitely looking at euro, definitely looking at gold. This is a serious mover. Again, congrats to the gold bulls here. Looking really, really good for people who were long on gold. Busted right through that 1810 without much hesitation at all. And I would say that price, could make its way up to 1850. Maybe not by the end of the week, but at least I would say probably going into next week, it's a pretty good chance. Unemployment up to 8.1% in CAD. Okay, that is interesting. I want to look at this. Oh man, that's so interesting. So I was long on CAD Swiss yesterday. I am no longer in CAD Swiss. I took a pretty good profit there. But with this information, very, very interesting. And like we said, you guys, this was the scenario. We said, hey, if the US dollar looks bad, probably CAD will be bad as well. Their economies are very they're impacted by one another, or CAD is impacted by USD in the sense that, they do a lot of work with the US, the oil that they produce, the US is their #1 importer, I believe. Same with Mexico, right? And so a lot of times their economies are impacted by the US one as well. So a lot of times you see them moving together, and there's a lot of similarities just because of the geo positioning of the two countries, right? Dimitri says he has a buy on Euro USD. Congrats on that. That's awesome. Very well. Very well done. NFP minus 266K. Okay. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate you for those numbers because I couldn't get Forex Factory to do it. I'd love to be able to look at them all, but Forex Factory it decided to go home early for the weekend, I think, guys. What about NASDAQ? Yeah, what's NASDAQ doing? Let's look at NAS 100 real quick. NASDAQ on the 15-minute chart, did it spike? Yeah, it spiked up a bit there. Nice. Running higher for the NASDAQ as well. What about, so that's interesting that the NFP coming out. So unemployment was 6.1%. Thank you, Just Be Kind. Appreciate your comment there. So the US dollar unemployment was actually 6.1%, even though the expected was 5.8. So higher unemployment equals not so good. It's actually interesting that SPX 500, it's interesting that, I'm just getting this going here. Interesting that the US or that the indices are responding so positively there. Let's look at we'll look at gold again. So gold, look at that spike, you guys. Beautiful upward trend there on gold. And now we're going to have to lock in these levels here as demand. And this is the cool thing. When the trend really starts switching, when you've got some nice movement here on the upside, this is kind of cool because now the bulls have a lot of places to try and look for levels of demand. So let me get that off the screen really quick. Yeah, so the cool thing here, look at that. We talked about gold and said it is headed to 1850, and look at that. It's just running today. So A big congrats to any of the gold bulls out there. Very well done. Again, stick around with me. We're going to keep talking about trade ideas and setups here for the rest of the stream. And we have a guest joining us, I believe, in about 25 minutes. So that will be fun as well. So do you actually do this every day? I do. Yep. This is part of our daily routine here on the channel. You can subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell and come back and join us around this time each day. You just paid my bills for a month. Where's the subscribe button? I didn't pay your bills. You made your own decisions. We're all capable here. We all have our own, we have brains on our shoulders, right? At least some of us. So you can make your own decisions. You don't need somebody else to. So anyways, gold looking so interesting here. It's at a pretty key spot now coming into this 1850. If we look, let's back out for a second and really just take a look at gold and see what's going on here. So gold double bottomed back in March and April, and since then has had a very impressive run up. Now the question is this truly a move of gold, to fresh highs? That's a big statement, because when you're looking at gold, yes, it's rallied, but remember that it's had an awful year here in 2021. 2021 has been absolutely terrible for gold. We've seen sellers, and now finally forming some demand for gold here right around that 1675 level. Prices run up, and look at that, you guys. It's at 1838. That is wild. So 1838 coming close to that 1850 target that we had, months ago, talking about it in April. So, it's one of those things. When you get the momentum shift on your side, it can definitely be strong, but you got to remember, we got to be careful, you guys, because we have some long-term resistance that's overhead. So even though we are skyrocketing up to 1850 right now, or it seems like that's the natural place for price to go, I would say that you still got to be careful, and you got to be watching out for the longer term sell pressure, especially when we looked at this. I don't mean to be a buzzkill for the gold bulls, but remember, I just want you guys to be informed. I want you to have the information. When you look at this, we've been selling on gold in 2021. Big money has been mostly short on gold, and recently has been selling it as well. And so when you have that information, this is stuff that you get on the website, a1trading.com. It's completely free. Just go over to a1trading.com and look for COT reports. You can check this stuff out anytime you want. And what you've got here is you've got mostly sell pressure. So although the market is moving up, I want you to just be cautious, right? Do you have any platform besides YouTube? Yep, you can check the links down below in the description. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, wherever you want. Shout out to our friends on Facebook who are watching, by the way. People are streaming there, which is really cool. So thanks very much for hanging out. So let's go back and look at some of the other ones. So gold, anyways, what I was saying, just be careful with everything going on with this gold rally. Although I do think it is a really impressive and great move for the bulls out there. Just be cautious where you tread. You got to tread carefully. Thank you very much for the 20, I believe that's rupees. Thanks so much to Samarth Jain in the chat for the donation. I appreciate that very much. Thanks for supporting the stream here. So gold doing its thing, running up. What about some of the other ones? What about dollar yen, which took a absolute beating there on the short-term charts? Let's look at the 1 hour chart. Bam, look at that dollar yen move. So let's actually, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the 4 hour chart here. And we are going to chat about, we need to update this a bit. You know what? We're going to start fresh. So the dollar yen is at an interesting spot. Ninja says, Nick started early today. I did. Yes, we watched NFP together today. So I said on a community tab announcement that I'd be starting a little bit early to do NFP. So dollar yen, good to see you, Ninja, by the way. And to all my regular friends out there, thanks for being here. I see some of you guys in the chat. Sometimes I don't get a chance to say hello to everybody, but shout out to all my regular friends who tune in every day to the streams. You guys are the best. I got some messages on a video, and people were like, "Hey Nick, where were you yesterday when I missed the stream?" So it's always cool just to see people were like, they wanted to show up to the show, and it's my bad that I missed it yesterday. I lost track of time and missed out, but here we are today, so it's all good. All right, so looking at dollar yen, here's a fresh look at it. Yeah, it's an interesting situation. So I really think that dollar yen, its recent rally against the yen has been very weak. In fact, one of the only currencies that's been really weaker than the dollar recently has been that yen. But right now, seeing a little bit of yen strength coming in relative to that weakening dollar. And so when I'm looking at this on dollar yen 4-hour chart, to me, it honestly looks like you've got some short term, if anything, in terms of demand, you've got this level here, probably a little easier to see on the 1-hour chart. And then you've got some bigger, the lows back down in April. So those are some levels to think about when looking at dollar yen here on the 4-hour chart for you. If you're bullish on this pair, this news could offer you a discount. But again, I would encourage you to just go through the news itself, look through the numbers, make sure that you're still bullish on the dollar and bearish on the yen if you were to trade this one. But again, that spike to the downside looking pretty nasty for that US dollar. We can look really quick at the DXY as well. We can see what is going on with this one today. If it wants to load, we'll see if it does. That was weird. Oh, it brought us back to this point, which is kind of interesting. All right, so sorry about that, you guys. I think my computer is having a tough day. Okay, there we go. Oh, thank you very much. 1000 Memory says, could you please show the fastest way to place an OCO order in TradingView? I think you believe, are you talking about order, cancel order in TradingView? Just started out in Forex. Thanks. Is that what you mean? Thank you very much, by the way, for the €5. Do you mean order cancels order? Is that what and if you're doing that, let me also make a comment about news that should just be careful. Okay, so anyways, let me really quick. I'm just going to pull this one up. I just want to look at one at a time. We're going to go to USD JPY. So for order cancels order, I actually don't know how to do it in TradingView. I'm not sure. Usually if I do, I don't actually use order cancel order myself. What that means is basically like, let's say you put an expiration. So like, let's say you have a limit order here, right? So if you have a limit order here and you say if 10 hours go by and it hasn't entered, just go ahead and cancel, right? That's an order cancel order, right? I don't know how to actually place that on TradingView. I do know how to do it on MetaTrader, but I don't know how to do it from the TradingView window. Sorry, I wish I had an easier answer for you. However, I will say one more thing. If you're talking about using order cancels order for some sort of news trading thing, please be very careful with news trading, because news trading, like trading the release, like making a bet on the actual release itself, is incredibly, incredibly risky. And I can tell you that I've done it in the past. I built an algorithm that would trade the news, like trade the release. So what it would do is it would say, okay, the news is coming out right here. We know when this news is coming out. I'm going to place a sell stop and a buy stop, right? If price goes down, the order will trigger. This one would automatically cancel on MetaTrader, and this one would stay in. And of course, it looks great on paper because it looks like, oh, well, I would just short this and I'd make a bunch of money, right? But the problem would happen when you would get terrible spreads and there would be news events that weren't so powerful like this, right? When you get this move, this is not every time. Not every time do we see this incredible move. Sometimes we see something like this where it comes down and then it shoots right back up before you could have even done anything. Even a bot wouldn't be fast enough because the order execution, by the time you executed the order, the spread would be so bad that you would get entered down here and the market would already be back up here. And that I know that from experience because I'm a computer science major. I built trading robots that would trade the news to try and see if I could make money doing that. It's not the technique or the strategy. It's the spreads, the massive spreads that brokers do to protect themselves. That is way too costly to try and do that with. So if you're trying to trade the spike on news, my opinion is just don't. But I think it's a very, very dangerous and high risk strategy that usually will result in one bad move wiping you out. So please be careful with that. USD Cad, let's look at it. Yep, and there it is. Thank you very much, Wouter. Wouter says, look at USD Cad. It proves your point. Exactly what I'm talking about. Thanks very much. Yeah, so you can see good start to the spike, but then by the end of, the next 30 seconds, bam, it's right back to where it started. And this is a scenario where if you tried to trade the spike, it can get really ugly really fast. So thank you for that. Thanks for the comment there. But yes, definitely agree with you there. I got Eurocad. What's Eurocad doing? Eurocad spiking higher there. Very interesting. And here's, again, the mixed. So we had bearish news for both on USD Cad, so it didn't really move much. On this case, you've got the Cad moving lower and the Euro moving higher relatively. This is really interesting because Eurocad itself has been on a strong downward momentum movement here for the last several days. And so this is sort of a relief there for the Eurocad. Actually, a very interesting currency pair right now. So we did break past this previous resistance here. So looking good so far for bulls on Eurocad. I would say that a pretty natural place for Eurocad could be a move back up to 1.49, a pretty key spot here on the chart where you've got some sellers hanging out previously. I would definitely watch that going into next week. If that starts to, if you get some rally on the euro versus the Canadian dollar, I like that for a potential sell. A lot of opportunities coming out of the news. And this is my favorite way to look at it, is keep an eye on the news, watch the release, of course, for fun, if not anything else, and then look for opportunities on the aftermath, right? Look for the moves after the news that, can be really big. Everybody thinks the news is just a spike, but the news can actually cause movements for the next week, right? It can cause, if something drastic happens, that shift in sentiment. You got to remember, you've got all these big players, right? You got billions of dollars in banks and hedge funds and institutions. If they really want to change their hands, if they're short on the euro dollar, now they want to be long, they could be buying the euro dollar for the next week to build their position, right? Because they've got so much money to move in and out of a market. So remember that news, the spike, yes, it is fun to watch, but the news aftermath can last for much longer than people might expect. Okay. What are we at on the like count? Can somebody tell me how many likes we're at in the chat? Because I don't have it pulled up and my computer's being laggy right now. So if I feel like if I open up another video, we might run the risk of crashing the stream. How many likes are we at? Can we run it up to, what are we at? I think last time I checked, we were at 260, 270. Did we make it to 300? Fingers crossed. 347. Awesome. Okay, what the heck, you guys? Dade says 328. Kevin says 307. TF says 347. What's the real number? Okay, I think it's more like 349. Look at you guys. Okay, chill, you guys. We just need one person to do it. I'm kidding. Thank you, guys. Yeah, that's awesome. Made it over 300 likes. That's really cool. Yeah, we had like 750 people in here for the stream, so that's always so exciting to see. Some record numbers, and my friends who are here in the chat normally, Dade, Pacific Inc., all of you guys who hang out with me, Ninja. I'm shouting out people who I see in the chat that are regulars. Denise, what's up, everybody? Thanks, guys. Thanks for the help. Let's look at AUD USD. Someone mentioned it. Whoops. Well, AUD US is not the one we want. We look at AUD USD. Look at this. Okay. We got to talk about this, you guys. So Aussie dollar, we have talked about this one many times. I've been sitting on the sidelines with Aussie dollar for a minute now. And with this US dollar weakness, this actually looks really interesting to me on the long side. So I've curbed my super US dollar bullishness for now. The reason is because with this US, now we've got some unemployment numbers that aren't so promising. And so, US seems to be under pressure for the time being. With that said, however, the Aussie looks really good. The Aussie, in case you haven't, paid attention to bigger stuff going on in the Forex market, if you were to look in the last 365 days, the last 1 year to date, the Aussie dollar is like the #1 performing currency. The Aussie has been killing it. Although it's been soft recently, it's been sideways. Over time, it's been really, really good recently, ever since the pandemic lows. Now, I got to say, during the pandemic, the Aussie and the New Zealand dollar got absolutely smoked. So this is sort of a strong rebound. So anyways, when I'm looking at this Aussie dollar looks like the setup that we've been talking about may be finally coming. Might be looking at a breakout here, you guys, at 0.78, looking like we could see the bust above this level. And going into next week, very well could be an interesting setup on the Aussie, looking for something like this, looking for that continuation higher. Very, very interesting. And this is a setup that we've talked about for a long time, because this trade, if it does work itself into, like, you know, if it lands on my lap on Monday and there's a way for me to join it, I probably will. Because if you get something like this, right? I love this trade setup. It is pretty cookie cutter, longer term, nice demand for the Australian dollar, commodity currency, you know, does well in the recovery, or at least it has been, and probably will continue to do well. And I have been saying that I think the Aussie will continue to outshine a lot of the other currencies. So if it gives me a chance to enter something like this, great risk to reward, could be the trade setup that we're looking for. So for those of you guys who are inside of the VIP group, stay tuned. By the way, if you are not already inside of the private group, there is a special discount code for this stream only. This is your chance to get it. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. If you've been looking to join us and you want to join our chat rooms, join our private webinars where we do some coaching with Joe Barreca, guy from Australia. Go figure. We're looking at the Aussie dollar. He's a 14-year trading veteran who answers questions and works with our members inside of the group quite a bit. You also see all of the trades that I take. So if I take a position, you guys will see it. You also see some of our other analysts. We have Frank, Patrick, and then Joe is also in there sharing different information. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, then I want to encourage you right now. There's a link down below in the description. You can sign up to join our private Discord. We have, you know, lots of people in there chatting and sharing ideas. It's a great way to meet new traders that you haven't yet met, or that you're looking to collaborate with other people. One of the most, you know, for me, the value that I get, the absolute best value that I get from a good community is meeting other great traders and other serious people who are dedicated to this stuff. None of that fake get rich quick BS stuff that's sold out there. You know, if you're looking to be serious about your Forex trading and you're looking to take it to the next level, I highly encourage you to join our group. If you like what I've seen, you know, everything that you've seen on this channel, everything that I've done in my content, this same level of work and diligence goes into creating the very best community for Forex traders. The trades that are being shared are not just signals. They are trade ideas with with deep analysis, right? So the full breakdown of every single trade goes into the group. So if you have any interest, if you've been meaning to join us, now is your chance to do it with this stream. Use that code down below in the description to get 25% off of the VIP group. So with that said, there's your pitch. If you have any interest in joining us, like I said, now's your chance to do so. So check it out there. And I'm very confident that you will not regret joining our group. It is very much worth it. Try it for a month, if nothing else, and see if you like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to stick around. You can continue to watch for free on YouTube. But if you like it, you very well might find your forever home when it comes to trading Forex. So there's your pitch. Another Samarth Jane says, you're an inspiration for me. Love your knowledge. Thanks so much for the donation. Helps to support the stream. You guys already know, you know, the cameras, the lighting, the office, all that stuff. It does cost money, and I don't ask you guys to donate, but anytime someone does donate, it means a lot to the just to the content that you see here. I don't think there's a better group, says Dade. Thanks, Dade. Appreciate you. Awesome. So worth it. Such a fantastic community here forever. Victoria's in our forever family inside of the private group. So thank you so much. Shout out to you guys in the chat that are already members, hanging out with me on a day-to-day basis. You guys, the cool thing is just getting all the messages from the people that have been in the group for a while. You know, the people who stick around for a while, I think they get a ton of value. You know, I end up meeting a lot of people over time just from chats. And I tell the story that recently someone from the group actually even offered for me to come to their restaurant here in Georgia. I'm in Georgia. That's where I live. They offered for me to come to their restaurant for free just as a thank you. And they're a VIP member. And I was like, you don't have to thank me. Like this is a service that our company provides, but it was just cool. Like you guys are awesome. So thank you for all the support. Makes my job really easy. Okay, so so NFP was a big one today. Very, very big news. We've got, I believe, someone coming on. We'll see if he makes it today to the stream or not. Supposed to have a guest joining us in just a few minutes to go over the markets and maybe hear some new ideas. We'll see if he makes it or not. I'm hoping. And yeah, we can go from there. So gold, yeah, look at that. Gold 1840. It made a move up to 1843. Didn't quite get to that 1850 mark that we talked about. But at this point, it does look very, very likely to see a move up to that 1850 mark. And look at this. I mean, just looking at this real quick, a lot of green on this chart, right? A lot of moves higher on the gold market here, pushing to the upside after this big NFP release. Kind of interesting because this week has just been a killer week for gold. Almost, we saw a low May 5th. What was the first day of the week? May 4th. Yeah, so the low being there, up 4% almost on the price of gold, which is a big move for a relatively, slow and steady commodity. But yeah, that's a significant move there. Jack, is that you? Jack, if you're the one who sent me the offer to the restaurant, I appreciate it very much. Very, very nice of you. I was going the other direction, like I said, I was headed up to Tennessee, and I was going a different direction from your restaurant, if that was your restaurant. But I very much appreciate the offer. Very nice. All right. So let's see. What else do we have here for the gold, or not the gold market? Let's see. Anything else for the DXY, the dollar index? Yeah, look at that. Really selling through the lows. And that's a big deal for the sellers here. Being able to break through that level is a big deal on the US dollar index. Being able to push through that level has, it opens up the possibility of forming lower lows here and continuing to the downside on the DXY, which means for a lot of the currency crosses, like Euro USD. We haven't looked at pound dollar today. Let's not forget pound dollar and see if we can talk about this one just for a second. And then in just a few minutes here, we are going to be having our guest speaker. It seems that he has arrived in the back office, and we'll be able to have him join and hang out with us and give us a little bit of thoughts on the markets as well. So just going to really quick touch on pound dollar, and then we can go from there. So pound dollar here, 1 hour chart, really moving higher there on the news. Again, of course, with that dollar weakness, we see the pound making its push to the high side, tagging this upper resistance here, and then find a little bit of sell pressure there. So for the time being, if this thing pulls back, if you're really bullish on the pound, might be some opportunities, just looking for that continuation. Of course, as always, you already know, it's not financial advice. I'm just sharing my opinions here. But I'm excited to have our special guest join us today. We're going to bring him in here, and we're going to go ahead and see what he has to offer to chat us today about the market. So let's go ahead and bring in Ivan FX. Welcome to the stream. How's it going, man?
It's going very well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, well, welcome. Happy to have you here. We just did about 45 minutes covering everything with NFP. Have you been covering or looking at anything with NFP today?
I would call that number absolutely shocking.
Yeah, it was a big one.
I've looked into a lot of data. A lot of banks have been saying somewhere around 800, 900,000 new jobs and 200,000 in that region. Wow. I did not foresee that. And also the previous number was also revised down. So, wow, that was a shocker.
Yeah, absolutely a big mover. And having, I don't know if you watch NFP on a regular basis, but for me, the last several times I've watched it, or the last several events, even last time when we had big, better than expected numbers, it was sort of mixed sentiment. We didn't get this much of a spike. And today it was kind of exciting just to see some actual volatility from the NFP release itself.
I completely agree. And I didn't expect more than, I expected dollar bullishness because I expected a higher number. So that euro dollar went up, was it 60 pips?
Yeah.
It's not what we see nowadays. I remember 200 pips back in those days, and now 60 pips is actually quite a lot. So
right. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same. So when it started popping like that, I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, we're actually moving 40, 50, 60 pips. This thing is really moving. And, like you said, you go back down to 2010, for example, and those moves were massive on the news release. It was like everything weighed on unemployment. And nowadays, I think it's, especially with the whole pandemic situation, there's a little bit more focus on some of the other events and other things than just unemployment. But it is still a showing today that when you get unexpected numbers and the numbers are a bit off, you still get those big moves going on in the markets. So if you have anything you want to show us, you can share your screen. I don't know if you see it down at the bottom of the screen there. So if you can just click the share button, and I think
that great. I have a couple of things that prepare myself a bit, and what I kind of want to say first of all is which screen should I share? This one probably. Where we have, I expect a dollar bullishness coming out of the new year, and that's just kind of what we got.
Right.
I expect a dollar bearishness coming out of March, and that's what we got. So to see now euro dollar going higher, I expect this one to go lower. And as far as I remember your analysis, that you were saying down this area you would look for a buy, and I would actually agree upon that. That's a pretty good area. And for me, and I would then, I use technical analysis, but also use pivot points.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, if you look at the pivot points for the monthly, no, for the weekly, sorry, that's actually in the buy area. And the target for this week is supposed to be around 21.58. So we almost got it up here. So for me, the week is already over.
Sure.
So what I'm really wondering is, are we going to continue this move higher? Currently, we are. So if we can get some kind of drop coming into next week, that would be great to take this one higher.
Right.
I also know that your love for gold is absolutely amazing. You absolutely love gold.
Honestly, I get pushed into it more often than not. Everyone in the stream chat loves gold so much that I end up spending, a solid 15 minutes on it per day.
And I set a goal of gold earlier at 1850. We're almost getting there. But as you can see here on the NFP, it absolutely took it higher. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a bit early for the gold bullishness momentum to come in. But as we have been very depressed for a very, very long time, I would expect this one to go higher much earlier. That we are finally getting some bullishness. I guess that is some of your viewers will actually appreciate that.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Gold has been, since it made so much sense in 2020, at least in my opinion, with gold. The bullishness case was so strong with everything like uncertain. You had elections in the US, which was scary. You had the concern of hyperinflation with all the money printing, which is still going on. But like what we saw with the Canadian dollar, like last week, which was a huge news, was we're talking about slowing the printing press, which I know you're mostly a technical trader, but on the streams we touch on all that stuff as much as we can, and that just interesting with gold sort of making a stab here. It begs the question: are things scarier than we expect? Is there some more inflation around the corner? What's that bullish case for gold? But regardless, from just a technical perspective, honestly, I have to give it to the bulls. It's been a beautiful little up rally there since we double bottomed back in March and April.
When you mention Canadian, I must correct you there because I am actually a fundamental trader first.
Okay.
And then I use technical analysis.
I thought I noticed that in your content when I looked it over. I was like, this guy sounds a little bit like myself.
Thank you. The thing is that yes, the BOC comes out and say, we're going to revise back down we're going to taper earlier. But now today, the unemployment rate goes up again. And that's for me is like,
it's a little bit confusing, right? Because
what's going on now? Because that's the second largest important measurement for the economy is the unemployment rate and inflation.
Right, so, and they have those numbers sooner than the public, of course. So to make that decision is interesting to me.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I think potentially the Canadian dollar strength can be over for some time now, because that is, in my view, maybe I'm overreacting, but that is really punching the tire for that bullishness, because if we're then slowing down, well, it's just 1 point. We have to see the next one as well. But if you're starting to slow down again now, what are we going to expect for the future? Then we don't have because I believe as Canadian dollar, the Bank of Canada being the first one of the large countries to actually start to talk about increasing interest rates. But I don't know if you're about Norway. Norway is actually talking about increasing this fall.
Interesting. Okay, so
that's for the Norwegian kroner. So if you're trading the euro, the euro kroner or the American dollar kroner, you would see that's have been an amazing trade ever since back in March 2020, where the Norwegian bank said we're thinking about supporting kroner. Ever since, price has never been there before again. That was 12. Now it's around 8 point something. So that's another key thing. So coming into expectations of what the Canadian central bank is going to do now, I would at least be a bit shook.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a trade earlier on in the week. Ever since that initial spike on dollar CAD, you can actually see it there. That big news event that you had to the downside on dollar CAD on the screen. You actually since then the momentum has been just beautiful to the downside, and there was a lot of interest on my side. I wanted to be long on the CAD. Ended up closing out my positions yesterday, and thankfully I did, just because I bought CAD against the Swiss franc, just because I prefer, I thought the sell side was a little bit more interesting on the Swiss franc. But yeah, so I bought CAD, sold the Swiss franc, ended up closing out my position yesterday, fortunately, right there towards the upper end of the move. But very interesting just going into everything going on with the CAD. That mixed numbers today definitely causes at least a stunt in that CAD bullishness for the time being. Would you say it's like a full-blown, going to sell off from here? What do you think?
I'm trying not to be emotional about it. I'm trying to be reflective and say, okay, wait a minute.
Right.
We have one number. We're not as good as we thought we were. And I would start looking for the technicality to show bearishness on Canadian dollar. If that is what is going to happen, well, yeah, because we could technically be at the top. This, in my eyes, could be a top. And then if we start making lower lows and lower highs, absolutely fantastic. Then I think there's a very viable trading plan and a very viable direction to go into.
Right.
But if that's going to be against the Swissy, I don't know. I would rather find someone that's probably a bit more. So if dollar's going to get weakened, then I would find something strong. And currently the euro, but euro Swiss is never doing anything great anyways, but something strong would be to be preferred. But I love USD Cad, and as this past 2 weeks now, it's just been falling and hitting the weekly target at 2160. You can't ask for more about that.
Oh yeah. Have you caught any of that move? Have you been
I've been
dollar CAD, or?
I was fighting at 26.10, give or take. I was fighting up here. I was selling it. I was like, yay, no. Oh, all right, no. And then it falls.
Yeah, that just happens. It's just the frustration. I had a pound yen trade that literally stopped me out by a few pips before rallying 250 pips. And I mentioned it on stream the other day because people were sending me messages in our chat room, and they were saying, hey, Nick, great trade on pound yen. And I'm sitting there like not in it, and other people were like, they took the trade and they stayed in it. And I was just like, you know what? Congrats to you guys for catching the move, but I missed it, unfortunately.
Yeah, actually, I was in, I don't know how many pips I am in here, but give or take a good 130 pips at the best. And then comes up, kicks me out, and then it just, the floodgates of heaven, right? And it just falls. And down here, I'm like, I don't like that. And as you can see here, it's not really great trading. It's not really like fantastic trend. It's just spiking higher, spiking lower. And in the end, I'm just going to give up. And I would rather find your dollar. I would rather find a better entry on your dollar than this.
What are your thoughts on euro dollar? I'm curious.
A long sigh, and I wanted this. Well, as I mentioned, I bought at 17.50, got out at 21.26, so that's probably up in this area here, and 21.26, give or take, up in here. I was supposed to be a line, and I was supposed to. I sold it just after, so I flipped all my sells, and I started selling here as well. But then yesterday,
of course,
it came back up again. I have a dollar bullish sentiment or direction for the month of May as a general, because 75% of the May month's dollar is strong with an average return of 1.1%. So I'm playing the seasonality there, and I didn't get it. Also, the New Zealand dollar came out with a pretty hot, good unemployment rate that sent Australia and New Zealand up. I think that also influenced the dollar in some way. So I'm out, and I didn't lose money at least. But yeah, but great buys down here around 120. I applaud you for that. I think you mentioned it yesterday or something like that. But yeah. So I'm just the wrong side.
So do you think, so with Euro USD for the rest of 2021, like you mentioned that, just like from a fundamental and I guess technical, what do you think for the Euro? Do you think it's headed back to those highs at a certain point, or do you think it's going to taper off? What do you think?
Oh, I strongly believe that we're gonna be the dollar falling for the rest of the year. I just don't know when. So I was trying to build up here, and well, got out too early, I guess. But if you're coming into June, I think June is going to be absolutely fantastic on the dollar bearishness. The first week, minimally. If we're going to get dollar bullishness the second week, seasonality. But generally speaking, I think June, July, generally speaking, is going to be falling on the dollar, and that's going to set the scene as hopefully the bottom of euro, and then increase over the fall. Because my buys for August, December is dollar to fall, but of course, with Powell still sticking to his policy and not changing it and not tapering, then I'm going to continue to look for dollar bearishness.
Right. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I think dollar CAD, it makes for such an interesting currency pair with that, because you've got the sort of deviation in Canada tapering, the Fed saying we're staying strong where we're at. So it makes some interesting trading opportunities for sure on the dollar CAD. What else anything else on your watch list? Anything that's like interesting to you to talk about? So we talked about gold a little bit, dollar CAD, and euro. Anything else that you're interested in right now?
Australian dollar, US dollar.
Okay.
Well, first of all, we're not seeing so great numbers out of China. I want China to do well so they can buy more from Australia. But technically, still on Australian dollar, we are still looking to the upside. And as we are putting on some EMIs, 255.21, is still tilted to the upside on the daily. And as we're now trying to make a new higher high, that is still in the line of dollar bearishness and Australian dollar bullishness. So if I can just get my teeth on any of the pullbacks there on the weekly side on every Monday, I will be absolutely happy and try to hold them as long as I can.
Yeah, we were watching just before you came on. We were looking at the Aussie against the dollar, and I was saying the similar thing. We've been stuck in like a range for a minute here on maybe the 4 hour and the 1 hour chart, mostly 4 hour chart. We've been stuck selling into this one spot. We finally seem with this fresh bearishness on the dollar to be pushing through those levels. And it does seem like, to me, should the story remain here with dollar bearishness, Aussie dollar could be headed, in my opinion, up to the previous high. Aussie dollar, like the outperformance since the recovery started, has been really, really impressive. And my opinion is I think the Aussie dollar has the potential to continue to outperform a lot of the other currencies and the US dollar included. I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And since Australian dollar moves higher on when dollar falls, it becomes this vice versa thing, and it just produces a pretty good trend, by the way. And it's easier to stay in that kind of a trend than what the US dollar, Canadian dollar is producing right now. So I am very hopeful for the future, and hopefully June is going to be even better than May so far.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, so the Australian dollar and the New Zealand dollar, both of them have been a little bit like they've been stuck in a wedge. And I just think that this is a kind of exciting. I probably won't take any trades myself here on a Friday. If I do, it's going to be something that I really want. But, you know, going into next week with Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar looking like it has the potential to sort of bust through some of the recent highs. It's kind of exciting because to me, I like to be trading something. I don't know, maybe we can talk about your style as well. But for me, I like to be trading something that's picking up momentum, starting to speed. Anything that comes into a nice pullback zone, that's where I'm looking to try and jump in. Is that your sort of style of trading? Or are you looking for more counter trend? What style of trading do you focus on?
Well, I'm definitely in the trend. And if I counter trend, I need reversal patterns. I need everything to come down. I need a lot of confirmations, I should say, double tops, double tops or double bottoms, higher high, higher low, the whole reversal thing. That's what I'm looking for if I'm going against a trend. But if not, I'm just looking for support. And I don't know what kind of analysis you have done on Australia before, but back in 2009, when there were decreasing the interest rate back in the last financial crisis, the Australian dollar was rising up until they changed policy. So for those who are scared about this one being, oh, we're going so high, no. We are still going higher as long as policy is still in place. We're not tapering, and well, the sky's the limit then, because we have been high before, and this is not necessarily new territory. It's just what the market is supposed to do ever since we changed policy back down in March 2020.
Sure. And with the, you know, it also has like the wind in the sails, if you will, with everything going on with the whole, you know, recovery and things, trade picking back up and everything sort of resuming. That is a very powerful catalyst that favors the Australian dollar, with their economy being so focused on trade, especially with China and, you know, their commodity based economy. It you know, it's one of those things. A lot of times people get caught up thinking, oh, the high is in, it can't go any higher from here. And it's a dangerous thought process, because some of the best value comes from, you know, when something seems high, but really the value is still there, and you're looking for strong continuation just to continue to play out.
Yeah, because as we come out of the election last year, and we went straight up like a rocket ship, I would expect some kind of reversal, some kind of pullback or some kind of range. And while we're just in line with April coming off the low here, everything is coming in line. And I also want to emphasize on being patient. Well, we are now in a range. Is this the market I want to be fighting in? Because we have been here for a couple, 3 months now. Is this a place I want to be fighting in? Is this where I want to be trading every day, every week, every month? Probably not. But as we now are making a higher high, potentially, maybe now it's time to start thinking, maybe I should be more conservative, find my supports, be more longer-term trader, because from my experience, I lose on the small time frames. I lose on those. I'm just going to pick the small supports. Right. If I just let them run, that's where the at least my profits comes from.
Agreed. Yeah, and I think also I'm similar. I'm mostly a swing trader. I'm looking at the 4 hour, the daily, and the weekly. And the biggest reason for me is because I feel I'm a little bit more comfortable studying and focusing on, you know, what's going on fundamentally with a currency cross than anything else. So, you know, those fundamental trends, they play out more on the daily chart than on the 1 hour chart. You know, the 1 hour chart, yes, you know, you might get a catalyst of the day, some sort of unemployment that causes things to really move for the next 8 hours. But it's really the bigger picture and understanding, you know, which currency is going to win, sort of like a Game of Thrones scenario, over the next month rather than over the next, you know, 24-hour period. So for me, definitely more interested in the swing trading and the higher time frames as well. I'm curious what the people in the audience have to say. Are you more of a swing trader or a day trader? It's fun to be able. You can actually see. Can you see the chat on the right hand side there, Ivan? If you click, there's a.
Oh, there it is. There are.
Yeah, you can see all the different comments coming in.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So people making fun of us while we talk. That's
that's
the
great.
best part.
I didn't see that. No. For me. Well, how can I describe myself? I want to describe myself as a day trader that trades into swing trading that holds for the long term.
Now you just confused me big time.
All right.
You're going to have to elaborate. Tell me more. I'm curious.
Can I go into euro dollar? And we can go into what I was supposed to do pretty last week, taking off these ones. Every single day is a potential day trade.
Okay.
Every single day, and every single week is a potential trade. So if I then go to the bigger points for daily, doesn't really matter, but just and look for support every single day.
Mm-hmm.
If I can get some buys in one of those support areas as we're going higher, I never take profit on them.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I let them run the daily. I take profit for the week. So on Friday, I tend to pack them up together. And sometimes, like December last year, I held them for a whole month. So I find setups on the daily, like London Open, give or take, just before London Open, and holds them as long as it doesn't make a lower low and trends change around. So okay. I don't know.
So your style of of taking a profit, do you use a strict take profit order, or are you trailing stops, or is it purely just based on your analysis? So if things are forming a lower, you close it. How do you handle that?
The real truth, I get scared. I have to say that when you have, like, let's say that if this candle here goes down here, I'm thinking, oh, this is reversing. What is going on?
Right.
But then I still have my break-evens on the day trades earlier, and that's carrying me out. But I can be taken out for those 4 days. I can be taken out, all of those. So my take profit is monthly pivots. And that's a hard top. I don't go beyond that. Daily, weekly, monthly trades, all stops there.
Okay.
Because the statistics of it going above that target, the Pandora's box opens up for all eventualities. As we saw now in Euro last week, coming from April, we just tipped into the target and we fell. Right. That was 100 pips down again. So it has reversed back on me again before. So all that. So I don't trail. I just put them to break even and hope for the best.
I like that. I think that's very, very interesting. I actually, on my CAD Swiss trade, I mentioned, like, I knew that the news was coming, right? So I knew that on Friday we had stuff that was probably going to move the markets. I didn't know where. I don't claim to know the future, but I basically said, I'm going to try and not trail my stop too tight, just because, I'd like to try and stay into the news if I can. But as soon as it started, CAD Swiss just had a nasty move to the upside, which was awesome for my position. And I closed it out pretty much as soon as price started. I saw some structure that looked a little bit bearish, and I was like, not for me. I'd rather just take my profit and look at it after news. And again, thankfully I did. I didn't know what the news would bring, but it just didn't seem as interesting, as healthy towards the top of the move for me. And so I just decided, you know what, it seems like it's at an upper extreme here. I'm just going to take profit, and there's no harm in re-entering. And I think that that's one of the things I've been having a conversation with people in the chat lately is, a lot of times people think that it's like taboo to get your stop loss tagged or to have a break even trade, and it's like this. It's the worst thing that could ever happen to you. But I think there is a power in just getting out and looking for new opportunities again.
Oh, break evens. I love that.
Yeah.
I don't lose money. My goal as a trader is not to lose money.
Sure.
So if I can just not lose money, I'm absolutely okay. And break even, fantastic. The reason why is because it's like dart. You try, you break even. Okay, well, come back tomorrow. You try. And when you try on those daily setups every day, and then every week, every month, depending on how you feel like you want to do it, you just try. You don't know the future. But if you find the levels you want around 120, 121, around whole numbers, around targets, whatever, and what I then try to do is not lose money, but I lose probably 8 out of 10 trades are
Right.
break even or loss. But if I can lose 300 pips on those, as of all those 8, I would then get 500 on the winners. So
Exactly.
they absolutely outweighs the losses. And if I say, if you bought at 120 and you break even right now, and though it comes back down again and you're out right now, it comes back down to, there you are, comes back to this level here. If you break even there, fantastic. You are the world's best creative trader. I will applaud you and I will put you on the first position.
Right.
But if you buy up here,
it's tough.
We will have a talk, okay?
Right.
Yeah, let's work on that.
Yeah,
it's all about the
like
level.
that.
It's all about the setup and not holding on to your losers. I cannot believe if you have more than 100 pips in loss on the one trade, like, where's your stop loss? Like, the trend is then gone. You're no longer bullish or bearish or whatever it is you wanted to do. And so, yeah, because I've seen people with 200 pips in loss, and please, stop loss 50, 100, whatever you choose. Keep them short so you know that you're wrong. Come back tomorrow. Look at the chart tomorrow.
There's a real beauty in just being able to, like, honestly, some people like break even, some people don't like it. They people have differing opinions, but again, it really does come down to a little bit of personal preference, but also, when you test your concepts and you find, for me, it's like the simplest thing is, like, you heard it from day one in trading. It's like, let your winners run, cut your losers short. And as long as it wants to be a winner, there should be no, pain in continuing to try and hold a trade as long as possible. But it really does, when you set a trade to break even, you free yourself from like this thing is going to totally reverse on me and take me out for a loss. You free yourself from that fear of loss, and you sit there and you're like, okay, from here, I can either just I can walk away from this trade for a week. And if I come back and it's just absolutely, destroyed itself, fallen back the other direction hard, the worst thing that happened is most likely I'm there for break even or a slight profit. On the flip side, if you go away for a week and that trend that you were in continues to be the dominant force and just drives up further, you're sitting there on a giant profit. And you're like, all I had to do here was give this market the time and not, I think one of the things, you might find this interesting. I did a poll on my YouTube channel and I asked people, hey, which do you struggle more with? Do you struggle with holding on to a loser or holding on to a winner? And it was like 80% of people said that they actually struggle more with holding on to a winning trade because they want to lock in profits. So I don't know if I struggle with that personally. I feel the same way. It's harder for me to hold on to a winner than a loser. But it's holding on to the winners that make all the difference. What do you think on that?
What should I say? I was afraid of losses before. I'm now afraid of my winners. I'm afraid of what was the other day? It was my sell on Euro USD and the dollar pairs bullish on this week. I wake up on Tuesday morning and I'm like, what happened? Like, there was this trade bounce up in New Zealand. Like, what's going on? Where's my profits? Where are my profits?
Right.
I wasn't about my losses, because I know if I lose 1% per trade, I can win until tomorrow. But have a different perspective. 20 years. How long are you going to be trading? I want to be trading for the next 20 or 30 years. It's 1 month, 1 day, 1 week. Does that matter at any time? No, it doesn't.
Right.
Even this year of 2021 could absolutely be terrible. Because if you learn from your mistakes, if you change into being not afraid, not afraid, not afraid, and being confident in what you're doing, if you need demo trading, I don't know what you need, but something that will make you confident, not fearful, fantastic. I see people being afraid of their winners, taking profit early, and I'm like, why did you take the risk of 50 pips and you got out at 20? It was 150 pips here. And if you look here at around beginning of April, I was thinking Australian dollar should go higher. But this is difficult trading. This is difficult. I was buying the lows and it came back down, made it even lower low, and I'm like, what is going on? Why is the market not reacting? And then boom.
There it is, right? It's that one time. Yeah, and it's like, like you made the point that you said, why are you taking the risk just to take a small reward there? And that is very true. Like in my view, the biggest advantage we have as traders is like that one-off time where you take a trade, you take that small risk, and it just explodes in your direction. And you risked 50, but then you end up taking 200, 300 pips out of the market just by being patient. It's literally just a skill of, the mental game of not taking that profit too soon. But yeah, and very, very true with that Australian dollar. You had sometimes you just get those choppy, frustrating markets. And as soon as you think that it's oh, I'm done trading this thing, it just goes chop, bam, there's the trade, and it just runs off, And
it never made a lower low. It just came low, but it never broke 75.50 on the Australian dollar. And I was in all the dollar pairs. So I was, generally speaking, very frustrated about this because generally it wasn't working out. Right. So I think then I need to look at the technical level. What are we actually doing? Is this my mind? Is this my bank? Is this my trading account trading, or is it the market? So then I come down to, okay, I can leave it alone. I can come back another day, and then it goes higher. And but then I can, okay, cool, I tried. I can come back next year. Next year will probably be around the same thing. Probably try to take it higher again, and I will probably have a different result because I don't control the result of the market. I only control my own actions, my own entries, and where I put my stop loss. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I can be away from the market for 2 weeks because it doesn't match my direction. I have no problem with that.
Very, very
that
true.
I hear a lot. How can you not be trading for 2 weeks?
Yeah. Right. And it's just like, if the trade's not there, if the opportunity is not there, there's no reason to take the risk if there's not the reward sitting there,
Like for pound has been all over the place in my opinion as of late, and I've lost. And I'm like, dude, it's a range. Why am I fighting a range?
Right.
I'm not a range fighter. I'm a trend fighter. Right. I just said yesterday, you know what? Execute order. Not trading until it breaks that level, whatever. And as well as Australian dollar right now, it's a range.
Right.
Why am I even fighting? Why am I even there trying to push a day trade? Because I'm day trading here, I will probably be in the middle.
Right. I have a quick question for you on the technical side. So let's say the price breaks that range, right? So you're looking at this range on the Australian dollar.
Yeah.
If it starts running higher and it starts really pushing and you're like, okay, we're out of the range, clearly, buyers have taken over. What kind of pullback are you looking for? Are you looking for a steep pullback, a sharp pullback, a very quick pullback? Like what kind of, or do you trade breakouts? Like what's your style of entry should we break out of a range that you like?
Wow, that's a very, well, I tried breakout trading as of how you were supposed to do it back in the days, I think like 10 years ago now. But so I don't breakout trade. I can't remember the rules, but I don't breakout trade. So if it goes higher, I will then look for a pullback. If that's a sharp, fast, Well, I don't like fast pullbacks, but I need to get in on the red candle anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a blind man trying to aim in the darkness. So if it was to break out now, I would probably take it up on Monday. I love Mondays. I love Tuesdays but Fridays and Mondays. And sometimes the market gives me profit taking on a Wednesday. So if it breaks out now, I will look for the Monday, and every day then looking for the pullback. And if I don't get it, if it now just goes up like it did back in this area,
the trade is gone. You missed it. Yeah, I have a similar thought. Yeah, and I'm not going to chase, and I'm not, because it's like, look at that Australian dollar. There was a beautiful move there back in February, but if you're sitting there chasing at the highs, look what happens when the trend shifts back the other direction. You just got to. That's where I love pullback trading in general, because I feel it gives you a bit more of that. Your risk is a little bit better defined, and your reward is plenty. So,
I just want to give you a reason for why is Australian dollar falling right now. It's a target for the week.
Ah, look at that. See, you guys, we tagged that top, and then the sellers came in heavy. Little did we know, Ivan is in the background selling this market as it tops out for the week.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think that's probably good for today. We went over a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm sure that the audience enjoyed having you on. I definitely did, and appreciate everything that you brought to the table today with your thoughts and your lessons there. Maybe we can have you back in the stream in the future. It was awesome having you on.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much. And guys, big thanks to Ivan in the chat. Ivan, where can they find you so that they can watch more of your content? Because I'm sure a lot of people will want to check out your channel and see what you've got where I found you.
Well, you found me.
I found you.
Ivan FX. Yeah, straightforward FNFX YouTube channel. I probably also have a Telegram channel and some Discord. But yeah, mainly Ivan FX. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, big shout out to Ivan. Thanks very much for joining us here on the show. Everyone go check him out if you have a second. I'm sure that you won't regret it. Ivan, thanks so much for joining us, and maybe we'll see you back next time.
Thank you.
All right, man. See you later. All right, you guys. Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Again, big shout out to Ivan for showing up and hanging out with us today. That was really cool. Just to have another clearly experienced trader hanging out with us and just going through the markets. You already know, if I bring somebody on the show, it's usually because I watch their content. I like them. So very, very cool to have him here. Guys, today was a great day in the content, just going through the markets today. We had lots of different things to think about, some great lessons from Ivan, and I really enjoyed just chatting with him. So if you guys enjoyed the stream, make sure to like it down below and subscribe to the channel. We got more of this stuff coming in the future. We're going to try and have some more guests join us and some more perspectives just throughout our time in markets. So as always, you guys, I appreciate you showing up to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and cut it short. It is a Friday, so I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great weekend. And hey, we will see you back Monday. So thanks so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you back in the next one.